Time is 12 o'clock. Here is the midday news. First, the top stories. Draining of major roads in Abeokuta turning into waste dump. Buhari, Senate President and House of Representatives Speaker meet on Benue crisis. Babangida calls for urgent stoppage of mindless killings nationwide. Presidency asks Nigerians to look out for meningitis. In foreign, Trump says he is not a racist despite calling Africa shithole. 35 killed, 90 injured in Baghdad twin suicide attacks in Iraq. Good afternoon. I am Chienye Egwuonwu, bringing you the news and details shortly. Several people have been feared dead and injured in the fire outbreak at a gas refill plant station in Lagos Metropolis. The fire outbreak at Second Coming gas plant located at CMD Road at Magodo caused panic in the area. The fire outbreak spread from the gas plants to other properties in the neighborhood. Officers of the Lagos State Fire Service battled to put out the fire. The drainage system of most of the newly constructed expressways in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, is gradually being turned into waste dump by residents. Some of the worst affected routes include the Aladisama Junction in Ashiru, Abiolawe Nemo Junction, Shapon, Ijai, as well as Omida and Bansheke markets in Ibarra. The drainage of the listed routes has almost been blocked with waste and weeds. Investigations by Road City FM indicates that the state government is not making serious efforts to clear the drainage, as the Environment Ministry hardly received any fund out of the 40 million naira approved in the 2017 budget for the clearing of seals in the drainage systems on major roads across the state. The State Environment Commissioner Bolaji Oyeleye, while defending his ministry's 2018 budget estimates before the State House of Assembly, complained that only 11 million naira was released out of the entire 600 million naira approved capital vote of his ministry in the 2017 budget. For the 2018 budget, the Assembly had approved 87.9 million naira for the rehabilitation of waterways and clearing of seals from drainages in the state. Former Abeokuta South Local Government Chief Environmental Health Officer Alhaji Kamaldeen Akitunde told Rock City FM correspondent Fatai Shubande that the non-clearance of seals from the drainages is contributing to the serious flooding and damage to the new roads in Abeokuta. Meanwhile, Ogun State government is to sign a memorandum of understanding with private waste management companies to scale up the waste collection in the state. Commissioner for Environment Bolaji Oyeleye announces this at a news conference in Abeokuta. Oyeleye says the agreement will be signed with the companies in a few weeks. The commissioner explains that under the proposed arrangements, people in the state will be compelled to pay for the collection of the waste they generated and help to stop the dumping of wastes on road median and roadsides. He adds that Governor Ibikunle Amoso has approved the employment of more environmental marshals to assist in enforcing the state's environmental laws. The commissioner, however, says funding is delaying the recruitment of environmental marshals. President Muhammadu Buhari has met with the Senate President Bukola Saraki and the Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara on the security situation in the country. Buhari met them on Sunday night at the Presidential Villa Abuja. The President on his Twitter handle explains that the meeting was convened by him on the security situation in Benue State and other parts of the country. He says they were briefed on the efforts by his administration to secure Benue State, which had been under attack by killer herdsmen. Later today, Buhari will meet with top leaders of Benue State to chart the way forward on how to end the security crisis in the state. Meanwhile, security forces, including armed policemen and troops, have restored normalcy in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, after engaging suspected cultists in the city. Security forces engaged the youths in shootout on Sunday night around Wadata area of the city, where some youths staged a violent protest on Saturday night. Spokesman of the State Police Command, Moses Yamu, says they received intelligence on Sunday night that a group of suspected cultists were converging at Wadata area for undisclosed purposes. Following this, he explains that security forces stationed at the Wadata axis since the Saturday night riot moved in to disperse them. Former military President General Ibrahim Babangida has urged Nigerians and governments at all levels to serve as national vanguards in resolving some recent disturbing incidents affecting national security. Nigeria, according to him, is witnessing so much bloodshed through communal clashes and conflicts that need urgent actions to stop them. Babangida, making the call in a statement to mark the Armed Forces Day, says it is necessary to cooperate with security agencies at this period when Nigeria is facing challenges of terrorism, communal clashes, kidnapping, cultism, and gangsterism, among other criminalities. The former military ruler also asked Nigerians to eschew hate speeches, discrimination, and other vices that trigger senseless violence and bloodshed. He calls on Nigerians to appreciate the courage of the fallen heroes by providing support for the welfare and upkeep of the families they left behind, especially their widows and children. A female university don, Professor Olufunmilayo Davis, has announced her intention to contest the 2019 presidential poll on the platform of PDP. The Don, who is a professor of languages and communication arts at the Rivers State University of Education, made the declaration in a statement released in Ilori on Sunday. Davis in the statement says she aspires to be Nigeria's next president. The female presidential aspirant, who hails from Ira in Kwara State, promises to put laughter and joy on the faces of Nigerians. She asked PDP National Working Committee to ensure that the party's presidential primaries is transparent. The presidency has asked Nigerians to be on the lookout for outbreak of meningitis. Health Minister Professor Isaac Adewale, who issues the alert, warns that the season when the disease is always rife is fast approaching. The minister says that treating victims of the disease is very expensive and government does not have the fund to buy adequate vaccine to contain its outbreak. Adewale, speaking in Ibadan at a meeting with the Network of Reproductive Health Journalists of Nigeria, explains that the cost of a vial of conjugate vaccine is $20, while a vial of polyvalent vaccine is $3. The minister says the devastating outbreak of the disease last year was due to the late reporting of the disease in Zamfara State. You're still listening to the Midday News on Box City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business, and sports news. Please do stay with us. Now in foreign, President Trump has denied that he is racist after a row broke out over his alleged use of the word shithole to describe African nations. Mr. Trump reportedly used the term last week during a bipartisan Oval Office meeting on immigration reform. He, however, now told reporters that he is not a racist. It is the first time the president has responded directly to the racism accusations. The African Union on Friday demanded that the US president apologize after the alleged comments, expressing their shock, dismay, and outrage at the clearly racist remarks. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, accused the president of falling deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of racism and xenophobia. Police in Tunisia have fired tear gas to disperse a crowd of youths protesting against new austerity measures. Witnesses said young people aged around 20 were throwing stones at police vehicles and setting fire to tires in Ertadamin, a poor district of the capital Tunis. More than 800 people have been arrested, according to the Interior Ministry, which accuses them of theft, vandalism, and violence. In 2011, the slogan Work, Freedom, Dignity rang out in the streets, and protesters had revived it in recent days. President Beji Caid Essebsi had given a speech on Sunday promising to increase youth employment. The president's comments came as Tunisians marked the 7th anniversary of the country's revolution that launched the Arab Spring led to the toppling of President Zine al-Abidine Ben Ali after 23 years. A huge earthquake off southwestern Peru's Pacific coast has killed at least one person and injured at least 65 as buildings collapsed. The magnitude 7.1 tremor struck at a depth of 22 miles. President Pedro Pablo Zonzinski said rescue teams were on their way to verify the extent of the damage. The area between the South America and Naxal plates, where the tremor occurred, is prone to earthquakes, with 13 above magnitude 6.5 occurring over the past century, the U.S. Geological Survey says. Tents, blankets, and humanitarian aid were being delivered by air. Next in the news is the business news. Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission (RMAFC) says it supports the mode of subsidizing petrol being brought into the country by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC). The Commission's chairman, Umar Ghana, explains that passing on the subsidy which NNPC puts at 26 naira per litre to consumers is not advisable. Ghana wants that raising the pump price of petrol, now that the economy is just exiting recession, will be counterproductive. The National Assembly has summoned NNPC chiefs and presidency to know the source of subsidizing a litre of petrol still selling at approved price of 145 naira per litre, despite the landing cost of 171 naira. The petroleum products major marketers and the petroleum products depots operators had called for a total deregulation of the petroleum sector to end pricing and supply prices. Finally, sports news. Anthony Joshua will meet Joseph Parker in a World Heavyweight Unification fight in Cardiff in March. Joshua, 28, holds the IBF and WBA belts, while New Zealander Parker is the WBO champion. Cardiff's Principality Stadium, where Joshua successfully defended his titles against Carlos Takam in October, will host the bout. Parker's representative, Dickie Higgins, arrived in the UK last week to finalize a deal. Talks had previously stalled over how the pairs would be split, but a compromise was reached last month, which will see Parker 25 and 30 to 35%. That was the midday news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Drainage of major roads in Abeokuta turning into waste dump. Buhari, Senate President and House of Representatives Speaker met on Benue crisis. Babangida called for urgent stoppage of mindless killings nationwide. Presidency asked Nigerians to look out for meningitis. While in foreign, we also reported that Trump said he is not a racist despite calling Africa a shithole. 35 killed, 90 injured in Baghdad twin suicide attacks in Iraq. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Chienye. Good afternoon and do have a beautiful day.